and we are ready for another round. It's very obvious to me that Yuji is pissed. Mahito is excited to fight. I really like Mahito, but I really want to see the shit kicked out of him in this fight. I really just want to see some nice revenge for what happened to Nanami. And it's like I said, as much as I really like Mahito's character, he needs to be just kind of squashed a little bit. He's just beaten to like a near just a near pace after everything that Yuji has had to deal with because of this guy. So I'm really hyped to see this fight play out. We know that there are aspects to Mahito's abilities that Yuji cannot, that regular he cannot deal with, but because of the fact he's got Mahito is like stacked up into his body, that he's not gonna end up like using it. So it's just coming down to certain aspects of Mahito's abilities in general and seeing what of his moves that Yuji can actually like contend with. And he starts out with like the weird little warped people, the mutated people that he's used with his soul configuration ability. This done these extremely small mutated versions of them, but at the same time he can just throw one out, mutate it in the best way for it to be weaponized. Like this first one that he shows ends up having like this bladed head that Yuji dodges. Like he essentially molded this person into being an attack. He molded him into being a technique that he could use in order to attack Yuji. And then he ends up grabbing two of them, and he uses soul multiplicity. And the way that it's described is he takes two souls, tries to fuse them together, but if they're not fusing together, it's like two magnets repelling against each other, and he's doing that while directing the force of the two souls, not the two souls refusing to fuse. And because of that, he's able to essentially shoot one out at high speed. So I'm wondering if he ends up doing that and has one that does want to fuse, like two souls that do want to merge together. Will it create like some big powerful summons creature that will be able to just increase his overall fighting capabilities? Because that would make sense for an evolution of his abilities. Seeing Yuji grow up with his moves, and eventually he'll get his own expansion, and then possibly even get some of Sukuna's abilities. But here we're seeing Mahito just upgrade his own soul manipulation. Now, like I said, trying to merge two together, but there's a process if they don't fuse well. The fact that he was able to figure out a way to weaponize it makes me think a lot of Megumi's ability to kind of like how he forces somebody to join a exorcism, and he summons like a higher level Shikigami in order for them to fight. So he's, it's a really cool way, in my opinion, to weaponize an ability through an unconventional means. I think that's really cool. But Mahito, like, he creates this giant, weird, like, freaky mouth creature, and when Yuji blocks it, Mahito just kind of melds in with it and goes right through, goes and just lands an attack, lands a big, heavy punch. And he's saying how he didn't have the full weight that he would need to in that attack, because, the way he traveled. And he's saying that if he put his full force into it, then Yuji's head would have split open. Like, Yuji's bleeding, but he's still up. He's still fighting. But the two of them, we know their characters. We know, like, the way that they've kind of, like, saw these situations. Yuji has gained, like, just a bit of a, like, clear drive-through at taking down curses. But at the same time, there's still, like, a level of kind of, like, grief that he has, as we saw when he killed Kechisu and Eso, like back with him and Kugisaki. But when it comes to Mahito, which is different, because Mahito's like trying to say how they're kind of similar, they're not similar. Like, he's trying, like, when it comes to Yuji, he's seeing it as like these enemies that just want to cause problems, want to hurt people, and cause a lot of agony. And there are human sides to the curses, but that doesn't outweigh the sheer level of just malice they have. And here, like while explaining, Mahito just makes a copy of Junpei and just kills him again. Like, he clearly has absolutely no empathy, no caring for life of any kind. And Mahito doesn't even seem like he really cares about the lives of the people on his team. Because that's one thing about Jogo that made Jogo feel very human, is that he did care about the other curses that were within their group. But I don't think Mahito does. Mahito just doesn't seem like that to me. He just seems like he's not going to really care at all about killing off anybody at all. And we know that he seemed to kind of like flex on that one dude with the hand sword when he was going to kill Hanami. But at the same time, I don't think that's enough to really kind of like validate Mahito having much for care, because we've not once seen him really have any normal reaction to like anybody on his team or anyone around him dying. He just doesn't seem to care. But while they're fighting, they're just getting like the two of them are just gauging each other up, getting in a fighting stance, getting ready to see who would attack first. And I did really like this panel with Yuji while he's getting set up to fight. It's not the one that I'm using right here, but while he's getting set up to fight, he's saying how Nanami wouldn't lose his cool. He would stay focused. He wouldn't just get completely controlled by his emotions. He would just stay calm, focused, centered, and fight seriously, but not foolishly. And I like that a lot, because there are characters where the kind of brawler, all-out, blood knight, or various styles that are heavy attack. But that's not what Yuji's character that he looked up to was like. Obviously, like, he's got Satoru, but Nanami always was this dude who never lost composure. And I think that's just definitely what Yuji's going for. And we've seen before when he loses his temper and he just has that same kind of like killing instinct and want to eradicate his enemies, that I think he needs to steer a little bit of away from. Sorry, I had a yawn in the middle of that. I don't know why I'm yawning. It's like 2 in the afternoon. But Yuji, the thing about him is he can't really go down that more destructive, vicious style, because I think it'll play into Sukuna, and I just don't think that's who he needs to kind of become while doing all this. I think he needs to work more on just his, like I said, calm and collected. He needs to look at Nanami and think of like how Nanami was and try and work towards that. Like, Satoru is able to be like how he is because he's extremely powerful, so his level of cockiness makes sense, as well as he has the full force to back up the way that he acts. So I'm very interested to see how this fight goes. I really want to see it not only just from the sheer, like, it's going to be a badass fight, but also how Yuji comes out of this. Like, even while Mahito's like getting ready to fight him, he knows that he can't really use some of his abilities, not only that don't work on Yuji, but Yuji can read his cursed energy in order to anticipate its moves. So he's just going to be using his power to enhance his own body, and it's just going to be coming down to a martial arts fight. It's going to be coming down to swapping hands. I am actually really hoping that this cut on Yuji's face stays there like a scar. It looks badass. But Yuji's definitely a better hand-to-hand fighter. The thing that he does have that Mahito has to compensate is obviously Mahito can heal himself. Mahito can just replenish his body, and he can make himself way more durable because he essentially can put in more force than his body can withstand. Kind of like, look back at like Deku using percents that were out of his league. He can do it, but it's going to destroy him in the process. But Mahito doesn't care because Mahito can just heal himself. Whereas Yuji doesn't have a healing technique, so any damage that he takes is going to stay there, and he's going to have to just persevere through. But the first opening kind of like move to the fight is how he like releases all like kind of like tension in his knees and his upper body and just drops down and uses that force and momentum to do this upwards manji kick and just delivers like just some big heavy move right into Mahito's face and just knocks him right backwards. Gets that first hit in there. That was badass. I like seeing that a lot from Yuji, as well as just the small note of Mahito's attack, the way that it's like this weird spiky tendril and it misses it, but you still see the damage from it just cleave right along beside him. I thought that was great. I really like seeing that move. Somebody just spamming my Discord right now. I love that right near the end. But just seeing him move like that was just badass, and it's such a fast motion one move way to end the chapter, and just this big opener I thought was great. I thought that was just really cool to see. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, put from the like button, the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.